Hey Neppers, it's me, Wild Neptune. This video to be my take on the upcoming balance patch that was just announced fairly recently for Epic 7. Don't forget, if you like this content and want to see more like it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All your support is appreciated. Now, let's go. 8 heroes. Emilken, Twisted Eidolon, Kairon, Bihu, Elagos, Moon Bunny, Crescent Moon Rin, Inferno Kawazu, Shadow, Knight, Pylus. Let's start with the first one, Martial Artist Ken. So, right now, Martial Artist Ken's big issues is that he just can be ignored and he dies to Frenzy. So, those are his biggest faults at the moment, and let's see what they've done for him. So, the first thing, Knockout. Before, 75% chance to decrease attack for 1 turn. This is his S1, by the way. And now will provoke 100% of the time. And the Soul Burn will make it so that he always crits. Worth noting that if you don't know, Emilken is often built with no crit because his mechanic is that when he's attacked by a critical hit and counterattacks, he always crits on that counterattack. So his S2, his passive, so his increased ER that he got during his last buff is gone, and now he gets Vigor for 3 turns. Vigor is, I believe, 20% defense and attack, so a little more survivability for those 3 turns. And now, when an ally, except for the caster, suffers a critical hit, he counterattacks. And when the caster, so himself, suffers a critical hit, counterattacks with Dragon Flame. So Dragon Flame attacks the enemy with a kick, penetrates defense by 40%, and will always result in a critical hit as long as the attack hits. Also, deals damage proportional to the caster's lost health, so that is still the same. Also, the thing where he gains CR if his S3 is off cooldown is also gone. So no more of this. He pushes himself up even if you don't want him to get pushed up, because obviously 3-turn Vigor means that you don't want this Vigor just to disappear by him being CR pushed all the time. That doesn't seem that good. Even back then, this little mechanic here was questionable, I would say. So, and his S3 is just having its damage increased. So, still the same there. Now, what this does for Martial Artist Ken, so because he now counterattacks when anybody is attacked, and he has the provoke on the S1, because remember, the counterattack when allies, not himself, allies are hit, is just his S1, which provokes. So then the next time they attack, maybe they'll attack him, and he penetrates their defense by 40%, crits, and he has Vigor. So that's actually a pretty big deal there, in my opinion. So it makes it so that it is a lot harder to ignore him during the early turns. The problem is, I have that he was never a problem in the early turns, at least when you were using him. It was always later on where you finally have enough pressure to maybe kill the things that you are want to counter. And because of Frenzy, he dies. Now, I think a big question here is, can he do enough damage in these 3 turns that he has the Vigor to make an impact overall? And that's the big question. I would say, though, from what I've seen from this, it does make him an interesting choice be picked maybe in the upcoming meta. Obviously, I feel like this is definitely something that maybe is ML Landy adjacent in why this happened right now, but we will see. MLK so the thing where an enemy has to have a buff, that's gone. He just gets 10 Fighting Spirit every single time, and the CR boost, 50%, and can only be activated once every 3 turns. Also, the Enraged thing, that's gone. Now, for his Sword of Requiem, he can now use it whenever, and it consumes all Fighting Spirit. And the bonus damage for the fixed damage increases proportional to the amount of fighting spirit you expended. So no more do you have to just wait like 5 years to actually use an attack on with him. So that is kind of significant there. Also, the damage has been increased. I definitely think this makes him more usable overall. I think this makes him fair, right? It definitely makes him a lot better against slower teams, which, let's be fair here, slower teams were the only teams he was used against anyway. But now it just makes him probably a decent pick against them. Not insane, I would say, but fair changes. Bihu. So Bihu's a unit I don't think had to be buffed, but it looks like he's not getting a lot here. So on his skill, instead of having a 50% chance to activate Incinerate, now it's just base 100% chance. So a consistency buff, I feel like this is a good thing for him to have. Now, if only Ilyanov had the same thing here. And then the Soul Burn is being moved to Symphony of Radiance, and the skill cooldown being decreased by 2 turns for 10 souls, which is actually not that bad on him. Elagos is also being changed, a couple of buffs here. So one of them is that his bomb is being increased damage. So we'll see how much this actually has an impact. And then, one of the more important things is that the hit chance on his Cloak and Trigger is being increased. So, hit chance increase is 50%. That means accuracy. So, if he has elemental disadvantage against a target, he covers that. And if it's an invasion unit like an Aiden, you cover basically the invasion and just have that artifact to deal with. So this is interesting, I would say. The problem here is that, yes, things like elemental disadvantage, like Para, Karina, and invasion units, so Aiden, stuff like that, were problems and have been problems for Elagos to be successful in aggressive and cleave compositions. However, even if that was not like truly the case, I don't know how often he would be used, because people don't really use him, so I don't really have a really good framework on how good he would be with these changes right now. I feel like if he's using Cleave, you kind of draft like a little bit differently against an Elagos Cleave. So he's still kind of restricted to like a late pick in a draft when you know he's good. So still not an early picker. Like, I don't think you pick him over like, you know, other damage dealers and stuff on your Cleave team, right? They're just better options right now. So good changes, I think. But I don't know if this will really push up his usefulness overall, just compared to everything else we have in the meta. So Moon Bunny, getting a little bit more chance to sleep on the S1. That's okay, I guess. Flow Control, so this is her S2, the passive. And the ER is being increased to 30% from 20%, okay. And now it also dispels all debuffs. And then also grants skill nullifier and immunity to all allies. So, granting Dispel has been among the most requested changes for Moon Bunny, and I'm glad this is going through. And also the S3, and the barrier was moved to the S3. So, I tested Moon Bunny a lot, and she just wasn't quite good enough. One of the big issues is that you basically had to run Doctor's Bag on her because you don't have any cleanse. And now you can maybe run like Eternus, maybe like a bulk artifact, maybe you could run like your Bastion even without using it on somebody else. So a lot of more options for artifacts here. The big problem is that people just kind of ignored Moon Bunny and didn't, use their extra turns and just kind of killed her. But maybe now, again, you build it bulkier, so it is something. I would say, too, that at this point, like I said, units like Benimaru and Moon Bunny had to fail so Ocean Breeze Luluka could rise. And Ocean Breeze is the de facto counter to Emma Lilius, so we'll see about this. Definitely good changes. Don't know how much it'll change. Crescent Moon Rin. So, surprised to see this one on the list, but her S1 looks like it's being changed to 40% chance to stun for 1 turn. Sure, I guess. I don't know really what teams, though, actually get to use her S1. I guess she's so fast that even in a cleave team, right, it doesn't die, she maybe like laps around and gets to use it. Okay. So, Eye Catcher. Attacks the enemy with a lavish dance and steals 2 buffs. Okay. Gets all allies and then stuns. So this is another big change. So, before, the stun would proc first. So the target had immunity. You know what you do? You don't stun them. And then you steal the buffs. So, okay, good change there. And now, the Curtain Call now gives you crit hit damage for the team instead of immunity. Which makes sense, right? Because most of the time, I don't know. I guess it's okay, because, like, I guess in an aggressive team, this is really good. But you don't really see a lot of aggressive teams. I guess because she didn't have this buff right here. But she's really only used for, like, anti-cleave as, like, a speed contester. And even now, she's not really used for one at all. It's been a long time since I've seen a Crescent Moon Rin used outside of some cheese, like, PvE stuff, I would say. So what I'm saying here is that I do think changes are good, right? I do think it makes her a decent unit. But do players have the gear economy to actually get this unit up to a point where they'd be comfortable, like, drafting her? Right? Because I don't, right? It's like, yes, I maybe have some speed gear stuff lying around, but is it enough where I'll be okay putting it on this unit to use? Probably not. Maybe now, though, because the base speed is so high, you can run her as, like, not as, like, a cleave unit, but more of, like, an aggressive, like, opener, something like that. I don't know. Maybe when Silly's is banned, it's worth a look. Inferno Kawazu. 2 simple changes here. One of them is that he's getting a little bit more of a CR boost with his passive, and then he also has some more damage. How much more damage? We don't know, but more damage is more damage. I don't think he needs a buff. I would say that the biggest thing is... So right now, if he doesn't have attack buff, right, he's kind of bad, I would say. So Tachi is why that's being used him a lot. And I think also Gators, but I think Gators is also another artifact you need to be a plus 30 for a proc, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, fine, whatever. It counts as MO Landy. It's okay. Finally, we have Shadow Knight Hylas. And again, 2 simple changes. One of them, she gains a little more health at the start of her turn. And now, she reduces damage of counterattack, dual attacks, and extra attacks by 30% when anybody, including herself, is attacked. And I wonder why this change happened. You know, it wouldn't have to do with another knight that was released a little while ago, would it? Okay, so like, I mean, I'm just looking at this here, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of the 8 changes here, I feel like, are direct responses to MO Landy. And there be some other, you know, decent changes. Overall, I think that this patch is actually looking pretty good. I don't actually know how much impact any of these will have. I feel like the MO Ken one will. The Kayron one will probably make him usable. The other 6, up in the air, I would say. I don't think it really moves the needle that much in any direction for them. Anyway, that is the video. If you're wondering where my Galililius video is, well, something went wrong with the recording or whatever, so I had to do it again right after this. So be prepared for that too, very shortly. Anyway, thanks for watching. It's been a good one. Nip out.